Good evening, Sharks fam! Yes, it's June 25th. It's 95 degrees outside, and two of us are in hockey jerseys. We welcome you to a special draft and schedule edition of Pucknology After Dark. If you want to be a part of the show, there's your hashtag Pucknology After Dark. You can tweet any of us at PuckGuy14, at AJ_Strong, at JAlexander46, at ChrisJBWS. He would probably want some love. Or the main account at Pucknology. We have a bunch of people here tonight. AJ's mysteriously gone. Oh, there he is. Okay, there you go. So AJ Strong, of course, as always. In orange, I'm not surprised. He's very excited about the Barracuda season, folks. The return of Gentry, J. Alexander 46, and of course, our special draft expert. Thank goodness, because if I had to look at the nose hair for Noah Hannafin any longer, we'd be in trouble. Eric Landy, and he spells his name the right way. Good evening, guys. How are you?
Doing well, and yourself?
Doing very well, up until about 50 minutes ago when I got a tweet from Elliot Friedman. So we have breaking news. Apparently, the San Jose Sharks are interested in Kevin Bieksa. That is currently the latest and current rumor going around the NHL right now. Earlier today on TSN 1040 in Vancouver, our favorite radio hockey station in Canada, they had said that, or his agent said that Kevin Bieksa has not been contacted in waiving his no-trade clause, which, I mean, you really don't have to do unless a trade is in the works. So I'll start with any of you guys want to jump in. Your thoughts, Kevin Bieksa becoming a San Jose Shark.
Bullshit! I'm gonna go right out there and say bullshit. 34 years old. In fact, I haven't even looked it up yet. Might be 35 before the season starts. How is that a youth movement? How are we getting younger? If you're going to bring in this guy, that the only way he can score key goals in serious situations is if they bounce off the stanchion onto his blade. No thanks. Have a nice day. Moving on.
The thing I would ask is, what would it take to get him?
A fourth rounder in the rights to Irwin, and maybe one of Doug Wilson's 9 irons. That's it.
No. You're wrong. It would take the at least a gallon of water from Doug Wilson's Fountain of Youth, negotiating rights to Scott Hannon,
and negotiating rights to time in Doug Wilson's tanning bed.
Yeah, don't forget the tanning bed.
And let's not forget the key cog in all of this. Also, we'd be trading Logan Couture since his name is always on the trading block, which makes no sense to me. But whatever. I don't want Bieksa, otherwise known as the captain of diving. He comes from the world-class school of diving, the Vancouver Canucks. So, no, please don't make this happen. But then again, what does Doug Wilson know? I mean, he says, get younger! We'll re-sign Hannon and get John Scott.
Okay, but take into account, going into next year, you're looking at Burns, Vlasic, Braun, and Dillon as your top 4. Would you take Bieksa if the price is right? If we're not giving up anything of a key component, is Bieksa a guy that you could see out there 5th or 6th line role, maybe taking the place of Irwin if he goes or whatnot, and obviously Hannon taking one of those 2 spots on the blue line that could also obviously give you some gives you some options when you're on the power play.
Good God, no. Because here's the
why the hell are we even talking about this? Who are the assholes that are putting these rumors around? Goddamn.
No, the irritating thing is that if you look at the free agency pool, I mean, for Kevin Bieksa, we We can bring back, wait for it, shooting it wide, Christian Ehrhoff, who is
Oh,
an
man.
unrestricted free agent.
Let it go with the fucking Ehrhoff stuff. I'm so fucking tired of hearing about Ehrhoff. Andrew Bench keeps on bringing up Ehrhoff. I'm like, dude, let it the fuck go. There was a reason why he was nicknamed Way Off. And Bleeding Teal just hooked me up. So he is now Bieksa just turned 34 a week ago. So he won't be 35 in the season, but either way, 34, if we're talking about getting younger, yeah, I'm thinking Wilson's really not looking at anybody that is older. Forwards, once they pass 30, okay, no. But defensemen, I'm thinking once they're over 32, no way.
I mean, I would maybe take a flyer on Paul Martin, like 2 years, solidifying the 6th spot. I could maybe see Bieksa being that kind of a player, but I know he's got a few years left on his contract. Like you said, he's going to be 35. It's not really the right move to me.
It doesn't make sense realistically. It sounds like, according to TSN 1040, that they would want a second-round pick from San Jose for that. And personally, if you were to get a second-rounder from anybody for Bieksa, Jim Benning, the GM for the Canucks, is looking great. There was also another. So we'll move on from Bieksa.
Well, hold on.
What, AJ?
Well, no, because I'm just saying, like we talked about, if your top 4 are Dylan, Braun, Vlasic, and Burns, you're gonna finagle Bieksa down there with who? Mueller?
Most
somebody else?
I would go with Tennyson.
Or Tennyson. I mean, even if he's stuck in the 7th slot. Either way, it just, from what we've heard from Wilson, just doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm sorry, Eric. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to move on here because we have a lot to get to tonight.
We've been linked in the Cam Talbot news.
Right. I was just going to say, Gentry kind of mentioned that up on Facebook earlier, that the Sharks have gotten permission to talk to Cam Talbot about coming over here. However, reports from the New York Post are saying that they want a first-rounder for Talbot. So I'll throw this at you. In order to get a goalie that only has 1 year left on his contract, would you trade your number 9 overall pick for a starting goalie? Or essentially a tandem goalie? Gentry, I'll start with you.
I don't think it's worth a first-round pick. I mean, as much as I've loved Cam Talbot, I think he would be great for the Sharks. I think that if we trade our first pick for Cam Talbot, it kind of sets us back a little bit because we could be using that to get a little bit further in our depth in terms of defense or scoring wing offense in the draft. And I mean, we haven't been this high since in 2007 when we drafted Logan Couture, and look how well the number 9 pick has done for us. So I think that we should not trade the first-round pick. Maybe we should look into other possibilities. Maybe 2 second-rounders. But who knows? I really would like to see Talbot at Teal.
If I'm trading a first-round pick, it's next year's first-round pick. It's not this year's.
Yeah, I would say so if you're going to do that, but it better come with an insurance from his agent saying, we want you around.
Yeah, I mean, this draft is just way too deep to give anything up. I mean, even second through third rounders, and I heard something about us trying to get a third rounder out of somebody, but it's a super deep draft. I mean, we haven't seen this since, I want to say like 2003. Right before the lockout. It's quite good.
Right, it's very deep. This is probably, they've said, one of the deepest ones in years. You gotta wonder if you even try to trade picks for anything.
I mean, we do have enough 7th round picks. I mean, if we could get rid of some of those to move up, then I'm all for that. But we just seem to be acclimating all these later round picks, but it's like they really don't add up to anything. I mean, for every Pavelski, you get I don't know what, I'm trying to think of a late round pick that amounted to nothing. Well, I could just say screw it and go with
Scott
Nick
Bernays.
Petrecki. We can always go with Nick Petrecki.
Yeah.
You know, that was a waste of a first rounder.
You know what I want to see? I would totally just like lose my mind if we saw some team just go total Mike Ditka when he was with New Orleans, or was it New Orleans? Who am I thinking of? That football coach that basically shit canned the entire draft for the pick of what was it? Ricky
Williams. Yeah, it was the New Orleans Saints and Mike Ditka trading the rest of their picks so they can get Ricky Williams.
Well, how funny would it be to see like I don't know, somebody with a very low pick like like Toronto or something that says, okay, here's what we want Connor McDavid. You know what I mean? I just think that would be funny. That's missing in the NHL. The NHL would make ESPN if some shit like that happened.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we will kind of divulge away from the draft for a second because this came out even though this was posted 5 days ago. John Scott, of course, as you obviously know now, along with Scott Hannon, will not return to the Sharks next season. Thank God. I know. It's got some sad news.
Bring back John Scott, but fuck you, Hannon.
If you're a viewer of this show, you know very well that Hannon, otherwise known as Tire Fire 2015.
Yeah.
It's not too well loved. Anyways, back to that. John Scott, posted this actually 6 days ago on his Instagram account, and he showed a picture of him in his Sharks jersey. He said, "Thanks to all the fans in San Jose for a good year. I enjoyed my time there, even though we had a tough year on the ice. At least now I can fight some guys on the team who I really didn't like. Barclay Goodrow, Chris Tierney, Logan Couture, Mike Brown, Tommy Mingles, Tomas Hertl, and Rafi Torres. Wow, I guess I didn't like anybody. Hashtag one punch, hashtag body bags, hashtag multi-game suspension, hashtag fucking Bettman, hashtag bad teaming." Kurz kind of stretched this out, earlier today about this, and apparently Sportsnet Central also ended their show tonight, their 6 p.m. program, with this comment. To me,
we all get that this was a joke, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. The national writers, what they say, it's like they have no clue the goings on the West Coast. Like no clue.
Well, duh. I mean, they're so busy focusing on all the East Coast teams, and everything that goes out to Chicago. They kind of forget that that there's teams in California that's not LA. So.
Well, it's interesting because, again, while I was listening to Vancouver radio, they're complaining, why is Kim Talbot getting all the attention? What about Eddie Lack? Why isn't anybody getting that? And I'm like, really? They're both good. Just because Eddie Lack is playing on the West Coast and in Vancouver, and he wasn't Henrik Lundqvist's backup for one of the biggest, original 6 teams in the league, of course he's going to get attention. But as for Scott, yeah, if we saw anything from Road to the Stadium series, we saw that John Scott is a huge jokester, and while he probably could take out, all but maybe Mike Brown and Rafi Torres, big deal. This is a big deal. Personally,
it's tough to take out other players when they're skating and you're in the press box. But but I'll give you that.
Right.
Now we on the Twitter machine at Bleeding Teal throws up an interesting point. It says John Scott was the worst free agent signing in the franchise history by a wide margin, and I say. He was a really, really bad sign. But you know what? I go one further. For me, who I think might have been the worst free agent signing that I can think of off the top of my head is
Colin White.
Well, Colin White is very good, but who I go to is Billy Guerin. Because we actually expected some. Yeah, but we expected something out of that. But okay, yeah, you're right. You know what? You're right. That was a deadline
Or
trade.
or
But
one other one, Jim Vandermeer. Does anybody remember that name?
Yeah,
oh boy,
Yeah, I do.
yeah,
that
that
was
was
rough.
another one.
Those two were in the same year, and it's just like, what is DW smoking? And he was a blue liner, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, he
That
never gotten it. And the fact when they signed Colin White, we were all like, there's a whole group of us going, Ian White, you dumb fuck, not Colin White.
right.
Yeah,
That was the one that never made sense, was letting go of Ian White for that.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you guys listen to the Dudes on Hockey, but they've kind of speculated that there might have been a personality issue with Ian White because
There had to have been.
he did work out well here as far as points and being able to move the puck and stuff, but just there wasn't something right there. I mean, they didn't even talk to him. It was sort of like how we jettisoned the guy that came with the
Winnick.
Jamie McGinn trade.
Winnick.
Winnick. There you go.
Gagliardi?
Yeah, exactly.
Which was okay. If we're gonna talk about horrible trades, this is the Winnick TJ Gagliardi trade for, and, we'd given up Jamie McGinn,
Scarbosa.
Scarbosa, yeah.
Yeah, hold on. We're transitioning from free agent signings to trades, and we could go all day on trades. I mean,
Yeah.
I just saw an article yesterday that revisited the Burns trade with Minnesota. So moving on.
Moving on, we will head out to the NHL draft. That is tomorrow. And if you are a longtime Sharks fan, you know very well that the first round pick is not exactly the Sharks' best forte. Here is a graphic for Finn flopping in the first. These are first round, essentially flops in the first round of the Sharks picks. There's a lot of them. I could have added on a lot more here, but I put Falloon on here mainly because the next pick was Scott Niedermayer.
Okay, why are so many of these doubled?
Yeah, there are a lot of doubled on there. So unless we drafted him twice and they just flopped that
What happened was that's an error on my part because essentially, I was copying and pasting at the last minute to get on here. But see, that's how bad they were.
Yeah, but you know what? Can Eric put that graphic up? Focus the camera on you. Make sure that graphic is up because I want to make sure that Gen X gets a really nice, crisp, clean screenshot of that before his smart-ass tweet goes up. Just wanted to make sure on that. But it is funny you bring that up because TSN actually had an article earlier today that basically went through the draft and the different or not so much the draft, but kind of like he ranked where the first pick is supposed to be a generational player. Your second pick should be an elite player. Your third, if you got the third pick, it should be a top 6 forward and or a top 2 defenseman and so on and so forth. And then he proceeded to go through a list of big number one, great number one picks, and of course your Crosbys and blah blah blah. And then it had some of the worst, and there were only under the second pick. Overall, if you had the second pick, there were only 2 names listed under worst, and it was Andre Zuzin and Pat Falloon. Now, Pat Falloon, that's one of those ones where you kind of got a little bit of hindsight to it, but Zuzin was being questioned from the time his name was read.
Well, so was Setaguchi, too, for that matter.
Yeah, but it was still pretty funny, though, to look at that list and go, oh, wow, there's only 2 names on there that are listed as, some of the worst picks in draft history, and they both belong to the Sharks. I just thought that was pretty fucking funny. And it's not like this article's coming from, East Coast bias land, or we don't know what the fuck we're talking about, L.A. This is coming from TSN, you know what I mean?
No, and I mean that's the one thing about the draft is it's such a crapshoot after pick number 5. This particular draft, I think you're going to see the top 10 be very impactful, and I'd even venture to guess out into probably 20. I mean, it is a pretty generational kind of draft because not only do you have Connor McJesus, number one, but you have Jack Eichel, who in any other draft would be a number one overall. So just to have two generational players go one after another, it's pretty amazing.
I agree. I think, and even for that matter, Strom could possibly be a number one pick, or even Noah Hannafin. Unfortunately, the Sharks won't be able to get to them. They'll be pick number 9 in the first round, and this is a list of players or of analysts saying where the Sharks will pick. There's an overall census: Boston Krause, Zach Werenski, Timo Meyer.
Please be right, hockeyprospect.com. Please be right.
Yeah. I mean, defense. Well, I mean, kind of going over what we've got in the farm and what I think our relative strengths are. I think we've got some pretty high-scoring forwards. I think we've got some good stay-at-home kind of defense. Two-way forwards and hockey IQ are all strengths. I mean, they've always been strengths of the farm in San Jose. But really, where we lack offensive defensemen, we have nobody after Conrad Abdelhauser, and he's dropped way off. We've got, I think, another big need in a playmaking center because I don't think there's anybody of Joe's passing caliber. I mean, granted, it's Joe Thornton, so he's pretty generational in the passing talent, but there's nobody not even remotely close to the kind of playmaker he is.
Yeah, but you can say that for just about almost every team in the Western Division.
True, but it's not like we have like an Anze Kopitar ready to step in. I don't think Couture's ever going to be that kind of a player. I've always seen him as a dynamic two-way kind of guy. I don't think he's the kind of playmaking center that you build around. So I think we still need that guy. And then just the overall feel I get from the system is they're all grinders. They're very smart, but they're not dynamic. There's no dynamic talent. There's not a Zetterberg or a Datsuk or somebody who can just make magic. Goldobin is probably the closest thing we have, and even his game isn't that way. His game is more of a kind of half boards kind of style. Try to get in the lower third of the offensive zone. So I think that those are the kind of players that the Sharks need right now.
So basically, we're planning in a couple of years. We're planning on returning to the pre-Thornton style of Sharks hockey.
Yeah. If we don't have somebody dynamic, I think honestly that's what we're going to look at.
Where the right winger is going to be the more dynamic player than the center. We're going to go back to the Damphus Nolan Friesen era of hockey. Oh, that sounds like a party.
Gentry, I'll come to you first on this. Who do you think and who should the Sharks pick at number 9? I'll throw up this graphic again so that you guys can see on here, but you can't go wrong with anything, and although despite what NHL.com says that we need help on left wing, I think you can't beat with any of these.
No, I mean, it's a tough one, and I'm looking at potentially NHL.com. I'd go with Zach. I can't pronounce his name. Werenski. Okay, I'd go with that because honestly, we have drafted enough busts in the first round when it comes to defensemen, but to have that in your back pocket, let's say Mirko doesn't, or my dream scenario is we trade with Arizona for the 3rd pick overall, and we get
Hannafin.
Yeah, Hannafin. I mean, if we could get Hannafin at number 3, that would be fantastic. I mean, that would give us a plethora of defense that we didn't have. Like, we'd have something excited to look forward to in our defensive realm. But in terms of scoring wingers, I would take a shot on Lawson Krause
Yep, you got it.
Lawson Krause. I'd go with him.
Right. See, you brought up that NHL.com article, you brought up NHL.com with this graphic up here. I can't take anything seriously coming out of NHL.com after that whatever the hell that they put out last week about the Pacific Division team needs entering 2015 and talking about how the Sharks have some solid up-and-coming talent on defense in Taylor Doherty.
Yeah, it was really a joke because it had two players that weren't in the system and another one that had dropped way off. It was like it was written at the. Honestly, I think it was probably something copy and paste from the beginning of the year when we first looked at.
That's exactly what I put it at. Yeah, and I'm like, was this from like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, Landy, I'll come to you.
Or maybe he won't.
Yeah.
You muted your mic.
Sorry.
Dude, you muted your mic, dumbass.
Hey, shut the hell up. Eric, your thoughts. Who do the Sharks go at number 9?
Well, it's going to be all on who's going to be left. Honestly, I was listening a little bit to Sam Constantino on the Merrick vs. Rasinchi podcast, and it looks like Provorov is probably going to be off the board. It looks like Hannafin will probably go maybe 2 picks before we get to it. So if I'm looking at anybody, Kyle Connor's kind of interesting at that spot. Matthew Barzal is also pretty interesting. But if Werenski is there, that's who I go with. I think if we can, by some miracle, still have him on the board when we're at, I think that's who you'd go with. Pavel Zacha has also been kind of rumored to go in that spot as well. He's a Czech, so you would wonder if maybe he has some dynamic chemistry with Hurdle, only because I think they've done a couple of things, U18 or whatever. He could be an interesting pick, but he's also only came on in half the year, so it would be like drafting Patrick Marleau all over again. He disappears for half the year, So it's a crapshoot, and like I said, I think how it ends up kind of shaking out is McDavid, Eichel. Those are going to be the first two, no doubt. I think Strome goes 3. I don't see how Arizona can not draft a center.
Does Arizona move? Does Arizona find a dance partner to give up that 3rd pick? Meanwhile, are there any moves between 1 and 8? Do you think that obviously 1 and 2 are pretty much locked in? There's no goddamn way in hell those are leaving. But from 3 to 7 or 3 to 8, do you think anybody decides to bet the house a little bit?
Yeah. Well, you've got Philadelphia. They're picking at 7, and they've also got a 29th overall. So they could potentially move out. Toronto has also been rumored to maybe looking at moving down. Arizona, I think, really what would take it is a young player, kind of a prospecty kind of guy, and somebody who's established. Or you go with an established and a probably top 10 first round in this year's draft.
See, maybe I'm looking at it almost too big picture, but I almost get the feeling that if Arizona was to trade down, like we all know the problems that are happening in Glendale, Phoenix, are them trying to keep that squad there. And Shane Doan has been the poster child for that franchise for the last decade, and he's not going to be there too much longer. Yandel kind of played that part for a little while, but now he's back east. So at this point, I'm almost feeling like Arizona, it's not even a case of like the best player for the team. It's like we need a new face of the franchise to try to get just the fan base back and active and involved again,
And that's where I throw this rumor at you guys.
Oh, shit. Here we go.
Oh, God.
If it involves the number 39, I'm going to flip.
Okay, I'll throw the 2nd round pick, or maybe next year's 2nd round pick, along with Logan Couture for the number 3 pick.
No. Because
just knock it off with Couture already. What the fuck?
Honestly, the only way I will accept a Logan Couture trade is if we get Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
That's the only way. If it includes Oliver Ekman-Larsson in that trade, then it's acceptable.
I'll do you one better. Okay, so Couture for the 3rd overall, and I'll take Max Domi. And the reason why I say that is Domi is going to be a little bit more dynamic than Couture, so it's kind of a swap. And he's kind of proven himself. He might be NHL ready next year. So kind of.
Wait,
and let's be honest, his dad can kick your dad's ass.
True.
Okay, but here, wait, I have a question here. So wait, Eric, you're saying Logan for number 3 and Max Domi?
Yeah, because Logan is a proven guy, right? You're trading 2 unknown quantities. So you've got Max Domi, who's probably a 60-70 kind of quantity, meaning that he'll be productive in the NHL, and you've got, let's face it, it's a draft pick. It's going to either be it'd be either Hanifin or Strome or Provorov or Marner. I would pick in that spot, and they're not ready yet. I mean, they're going to take at least 2 years to be ready. And you've got Couture now, who is on the precipice of being a 60-70 point guy, and those don't come around that often, and especially in division.
Yeah, see, I gotta agree with Landy a little bit on this, just because for me, I don't even know if as the Sharks, if I would even consider that move, because I'm very much I would much rather take the known, dance with the known, dance with the devil that you know what you're going to get out of Logan Couture over the next 4 to 5 years. You don't exactly know what will happen with Domi over the next 5 years. You don't know what that pick is. Is that pick going to be, the next Ryan Getzlaf, or is that pick going to be, the next, what's that guy's name that I hate saying? Timu
Riajarvi.
Yeah, that fucking guy. It's like you don't know. You know what? Let me preface that. Is that pick that the Sharks get? Is it going to be Ty Wissert or Nick Petrecki, or is it going to be Nicholas Lidstrom?
And let's go even a higher draft pick from Colorado, Eric Johnson. He was I want to say number 4. I can't remember in his draft year. He was in number 3 or number 4. And the problem with taking a defenseman that high is that they've got super expectation on him. And you look at what he's done in Colorado and in St. Louis.
And defense take longer to develop.
Yeah, it just didn't pan out. And the way that the Sharks are kind of right now, they're looking at, okay, we kind of want a guy who is in the 1 to 2 year maturation range. So you want a guy that can step in 1 to 2 years when Goldobin and Hertl kind of come onto the scene and really assert themselves. You want that back end guy that can get them the puck. So I would say Werenski, or if number 3, I take Provorov probably over Hanifin. Provorov just seems like he's the overall complete package. Now Hanifin won't be a miss either, but they're both of those guys are going to be step in kind of guys. But like I said, you run the risk of taking a defenseman that high. It's just what it is. Defensemen are so hard to gauge out versus a forward.
Yeah, are the Sharks going to end up with a Petrecki or a Wissart, or are they going to get a Braun or a Demers? Basically, you're going to waste 2 high picks that don't pan out, or you're going to do really well with lower, 5th and lower rounds.
But Weissert eventually, along with a few others, turn into Dan Motherpuck and Boyle.
That is true, but then I point you in the direction. I fart in your general direction with the names Petrecki and Doherty. That's all. But
Doherty was a late rounder, but
he was so touted by the organization, like much more than a lot of other guys. Like, what the hell happened to William Wren? Anybody know who the fuck that guy is?
Who?
Exactly.
Okay, Gentry, I'm going to come to you because I'm going to throw this out at you. Because everybody's in love with him. He should be the next captain. However, he is 31 years old in his peak of his career. Would you trade, instead of Logan Couture, would you trade Joe Pavelski to get number 3?
My pussy says you're out of your mind.
No, I take that deal in a heartbeat.
Whoa. You're going to trade the next captain of the Sharks?
Hold up. Gentry, you go first. Then I'll get to the other two.
All right, so you're asking if I would trade
If
Joe
you would trade
Pavelski.
Joe Pavelski for the number 3 overall pick.
Eric, you ignorant slut.
No, shut up.
If we're trading
Gentry,
Joe,
go.
like if I'm saying if we're trading Joe Pavelski, we better get Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Domi, the 3rd pick overall for that one. I'm sorry, but when you have a guy like Joe Pavelski who is right now the heart and soul of this team and is the only thing that really the Shark fans have looked forward to, in terms of, he is Captain America. What else? Like, who are you gonna have to look forward to? What? Like, you're gonna give that spot up to who? Tommy Wingles? No. But unless you get Domi, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and a 3rd round pick, hell no.
Oh,
You must be out your
damn.
goddamn mind.
The thing is that Pavelski's 31, and honestly, he's not going to. I don't think he can achieve any higher status than what he's at now. He is a late bloomer, so he could maybe repeat for a similar kind of point total as he did last year. I don't put that out of the realm of possibility, but he's not going to be any better.
Well, and
he's not-
how much of his point total was inflated by being with Thornton last year?
Exactly. But the other thing is we don't even utilize him as a center. He's being utilized as a winger. And so if you can get max value for a guy like Pavelski and you can steal 3 pieces in a big trade like that, I would do that in a heartbeat. I would do it for Domi and the 1st, to be honest. And Larson, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, I'd love to have him, but I just don't see how the Coyotes trade that to us. I just don't.
Here's what we can include in that trade to make it. We'll trade Joe Pavelski and our 1st rounder for their 3rd pick, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and Domi. I mean, it's a 3 for 2, and I think that's fair. But I don't want to give up Pavelski right now. He's like one of my favorite Sharks to watch because just his hockey IQ, and he just keeps getting better. And I think we don't utilize him enough as center. So if we were to get rid of Logan Couture, then that would give us this okay, then we can put Pavelski back in his natural spot as a center. But then you'd have a problem up on the top 6 with the right winger to play with Jumbo.
Well, you could put Melker on the right side and then maybe move Hurdle back over to Joe's side on the left side.
Is anybody else having a problem taking Eric seriously when you look at the losers row of jerseys he has hanging behind?
Yeah.
Okay, but you can't see my front view. I've got posters hanging up. I even have my little. Check this out. I have my little Sharks jersey that I got in 1993. Right there, he's hanging up in his windowed picture box, and I've pretty much got every jersey except for this year's away, the white away, and I really love that jersey, and it's going to be a Hurdle white away. I just saving up the $350 for it.
See, I just cannot do that 3rd generation. Hold on, Eric. We have to get to the Twitter machine for a second because I think this is going to give Gentry the opportunity. If it can be done, this is going to give Gentry the opportunity to go AJ rant mode. On the Twitter machine, Generation X has said, for the love of God, Dan Boyle was awful by the time he got to San Jose.
Oh, no.
And with that, I'm going to put myself on mute. I encourage everybody else to do the same, and let Gentry go.
Oh, you ignorant slut. How dare you say that about the almighty Dan Boyle. Let's look at what he was able to accomplish in his 1st year. He scored 20 goals for us in his 1st year as a San Jose Shark. And when he was on the team, we were considered elite, and he carried that defense when Doug Wilson was setting us up with Douglas Murray. God, who else was on there? You had freaking... Why am I drawing blanks as the useless defenseman? Out of all the useless defensemen that Doug Wilson has acquired in our history, Dan Boyle was the best defenseman that we've ever traded for. Other than right now, I'd have to give that slight edge to Brent Burns because he has been a franchise for us so far. But honestly, Dan Boyle was a heart and soul guy, and How dare you? Don't you ever say that about Dan motherfucking Boyle. All right. I don't.
Go ahead, Gentry. Finish up.
And I will say this, and everybody gives him shit for scoring that own goal, fucking 5 years ago in a game that really didn't fucking matter because we ended up winning that series. But what did he do the next game?
Scored the first fucking goal.
He scored the first fucking goal and got us back in that series. So what does that tell you? Dan Boyle is a special player, and he plays with a chip on his shoulder, and he should have been captain over Joe Thornton. But
Yes, he should have been captain over Joe Thornton. But the one thing I have to at least put out there is it just me, or as a Sharks fan, whenever you hear the words own goal, you don't think Dan Boyle, you think Mark Bergevin.
That's true.
I always think Marc-Edouard Vlasic.
See, I go with Bergevin because it's very, you have the opportunity, like with Boyle, it glanced off his stick. Hell, that happens multiple times in a season where guys just positioned incorrectly, and it's essentially an own goal where it glances off your stick. This motherfucker threw the biscuit in the basket. That is
literally
all-time best own goal.
When you said own goal, I had just flashbacks of Teemu Solani missing that empty net, and I just go, oh God.
That's couldn't own a goal.
Yeah.
No, the most painful one for me was the what was it, Game 7, 2013, or not 2013? Yeah, it was 2013 when
Canucks,
no, it was the Kings when Jonathan Quicks made that unbelievable save on Joe Pavelski for the tying goal.
Oh yeah.
That to me was always a heartbreaker because that was the year that we should have gone deeper than what we did. That was the team that was well put together, and that broke us. And
I think I will say, along with AJ, the most painful one that still resonates to longtime Sharks fans to this day is Garpenlov in overtime, Game 6 against the Leafs in '94. We all knew, and it was already set that we would play Vancouver in the conference final. If that puck goes in, we have a legitimate shot to get our asses handed to us by the Rangers in the Stanley Cup final, because we had taken down Vancouver numerous times that year. But that puck goes off the crossbar, and not even a minute later, Toronto goes in and scores the game-winning goal and sent it to 7, where we eventually lost.
And if you were born at that game, congratulations, you are now able to legally drink. Congrats.
Oh. Thanks for that reminder.
Hey, speaking of reminders, the other thing that came out today, I don't know if you guys are aware. I know you guys are aware. I don't know if everybody else is aware. Well, let's be honest. Everybody's fucking aware that watches this shit. It looks like T-Mac is bringing the whole kit and caboodle. The whole party's coming up to Edmonton in the form of Jay Woodcroft and Jimmy Johnson.
Well, I'm not surprised by that. I mean,
Johnson, I'm not surprised by. Woodcroft, I'm a little like, really?
No. I think
that's his buddy.
Woodcroft and him are like kind of attached at the hip.
Yeah.
They've been
that's his knob polisher. That's his knob polisher. I mean, apple polisher. Sorry.
That was one of his farmhands for the Minnesota organization, the Houston Arrow.
Did you say farmhands or third hands?
Oh boy.
That's right. It's after dark now.
Oh,
if you're on the right coast. All right, go.
I was going to say, what's next? Well, I think we've touched everything on the draft. Let's put it this way: the Sharks might suck at picking first-round picks, but they have been able to land some nice gems during in the later rounds. So
okay, throw it around. Okay, now it's time for around the horn. Buy the draft tomorrow. It's on the floor. They're ready to go. Gentry, do the Sharks draft at number 9, or do they move up? Or do they move? I'm not even going to say whether they move up or move down. Do they stay at 9, or do they move?
I think there's going to be a move made. I can't say if it's going to be up or down, but I think with how much cap space that we have,
and the fact that Hasso is allowing Wilson to spend to the limit this year.
Right.
Yeah, I think I think that this is going to be an interesting draft because we're going to have the cap space to spend. The cap space to spend a lot of money, and so that means we can pick up some awesome free agents. So we might move up because what the hell? This is going to be a make or break year for Doug Wilson, hopefully, because if he fucks this up, he should get fired.
That's right. All right, Landy, what happens?
Look, I think Wilson's going to put his sack on the table and he's going to say something's going to happen. There's.
He says we're going to need a smaller table. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I just think that there's been too many rumors, too many things tied to us, and it's so quiet out of Sharks camp right now that I think it's the perfect storm. And the other thing I think, exactly, I think the other thing though we can maybe look at. Another thing we can look at is another offer sheet, because I think, contrary to what everybody is saying, the offer sheet picks do not come from this year. They're from next year, and we've got our full array pretty much. So I think an offer sheet could be in play. And there's a guy by the name of Brandon Saad in Chicago who I really, really like.
I picked him to win that MVP for the playoffs. So I thought he might pull down the Connie, but I mean, when Keith is rolling, is basically playing 40 fucking minutes a game, you're gonna be hard pressed to find anybody else. But still,
yeah.
And that's gonna lead me to just a quick little offside of a bit.
Well, what's your choice? What is your decision? Are they going to stay at 9, or are they going to go up and down, or what?
I think Doug will listen to offers, and I think he's in a position kind of like Arizona, where if Renski or maybe like Barzal are still on the table, I think somebody's going to call them about it. And
if Provorov is still there at 6, I'm pretty sure he's going to want to go after him.
That one, I would assume, if the Mad Russian there is taken 5th or higher, I think the Sharks stay where they're off. He's available at 6. I think maybe we see a move.
And this is why
I think Wilson will overpay, as he has a long history of doing.
But this is where I will say this: if I think one of the 3 defensemen, and I think we all agree he's going to draft a defenseman, hopefully. If the 3 defensemen are already gone, I could see him going back and seeing to acquire an extra pick either in the 1st or 2nd round. If he can do that, that would be huge, because there's your bargaining chip with maybe Vancouver to get Eddie Lack.
So long story short, if he goes down, it'll be huge. What's next there?
Oh,
hey,
boy.
John. Hey, John. Go ahead there.
He'll be here all season, folks. Don't forget to tip your waitresses and enjoy the teal.
Well, and Gen X just says Wilson going for Saad is the sexy move. Going for Hamilton would be the smart move, but right. Wilson likes sexy. And how awesome would it be to see the massive amounts of promotional materials that say kneel before Saad?
Edmonton, though, I think Edmonton's going to get the offer sheet out for Hamilton because, let's face it, they don't need any more draft picks, and they've got a lot of money. So,
but that's the thing here. Hello, Edmonton. Hi, we have a goaltender, not signed by the way. His name is Antti Niemi, and he's won the Stanley Cup. Just throwing that out there. And you have $18,342,084. I don't know where the 84 came from, but nonetheless, you have that available. Why don't you make it rain on Nemo? Come on. Let's make it.
But you forget that Wilson is the one that overvalues anybody with a ring.
Have you looked at Edmonton lately? They overvalue their ring, and they name them all general managers. Sorry, Gentry, go ahead.
And another thing is that maybe they were watching the tapes and like, maybe we see what nobody else saw, is that Antti Niemi was really overrated. And, the fact that the Sharks signed him to that extension was abysmal, and the fact that the Sharks didn't trade him at the deadline was also a dumb fuck move. So
and not this deadline, last year's deadline.
So what do you guys think of, on the goalie front, maybe somebody out of Ottawa? I keep hearing us linked to guys in Ottawa.
I
Either
can't
Lane or
see.
In
I
the
can't.
67s?
I
Oh,
can't
did you
see
see that
either one.
infographic? The Sharks have picked
Yeah.
most Ottawa 67s.
Yeah, I know, that was retarded. But Bleeding Teal on Twitter just puts out that Niemi, yeah, he won the cup with an all-world defensive core. And I've been beating that drum since we got Niemi. That's one of the things that every time Wilson tries to throw Niemi's ring out there is that if that's some big fucking deal, let's be honest. About 20 of the 30 goalies in the league that year probably could have won with a front six, and we're talking, who is it now? We're talking Seabrook, Campbell, Duncan Keith, Hammer, who are the other two guys I'm missing?
Sopel, Brent Sopel.
Yes, Sopel. So you had Seabrook, Sopel, Keith, Campbell, and Hammer is your five.
I mean,
I can't even remember the sixth one. You could have put in, Jesus Christ! You could have put in
John Scott.
You could have put in John Scott. You could have put in Pat Falloon today in that sixth line role, and that would have been fine.
You know, and let's look at this: is that Corey Crawford is a pretty average goaltender, and he's gotten 2 cups. So, and that's because of the defense in front of him. So, Doug Wilson, hi. It's defense that wins championships and pretty average goaltending. So why don't we fix our defense?
Oh, here's an interesting thing on Twitter is Ian Reed from at Ian Blog Shark saying Niemi to Dallas is a UFA. Would anybody care?
No.
I mean, do they still have Letnin, or is that?
Yeah, look at how their Finnish netminders have gone over there.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true, and they like to go Finnish. Well, that was bad. Anyway, so let's shift from that over to the free agent market. There isn't much out there really, which is why you're going to see a lot of people about restricted free agency. Yeah, do you go after Freddie Hamilton? I mean, Dougie Hamilton.
Well, before we put this out there, Colorado had a very, very nice move today. They traded a 6th-round pick for Carl Soderberg's rights. And that was pretty unheralded because, you know, the kid put up really good numbers in Boston, and Boston is not an easy place to put good numbers up.
And isn't this leading to a lot of speculation about Riley moving?
Riley's moving. He's probably moving on the draft floor. But, you know, they did a really good move there, and I really wanted the Sharks to go after Soderberg.
But
and
we're
Seidenberg
still,
as well.
You know, I think what we're still going to hope for is that Tierney becomes that forward that we look for, that good third line. But then you forget we also have Ben Smith, who could fill out our bottom 6 very well, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he has to bring because I thought he, during his time here,
I am too, especially with if they're saying that he's going to be ready to go, Smith and Torres being a thumper, being a body thrower. However, they have good speed and they have a little bit of a scoring touch that Rafi has shown. Especially in 2014 when he was coming back, even though he was hurt. That's very doable. I think that's very doable to grab him. What about this? Even though he's a UFA after next season, there's been talk that Milan Lucic is on the market. Would
I don't want him.
You wouldn't want him even at 27?
So it's not the age. The age is okay, but it's the miles that he's put on, and it's the wheels. The wheels are not good enough for the Western Conference game.
What are we talking about?
Milan Lucic.
Oh yeah, no. His wheels are way past their use-by date.
No, I think he does.
He's a bit of a bitch too.
No, he'd also have to change his style of play because he fits the Boston style of play, which is big and physical. Sharks go for kind of finesse and speed, and I think that would very much clash, because it would go against Doug Wilson's stance of no net front presence.
Well, let's preface this. Isn't Lucic,
yes, that's very true, Gentry.
Isn't Lucic the guy who in 2011 speed bagged the Sedin brother right in front of the ref in the playoffs? And that
Yes.
wasn't that Lucic?
I believe so. Yes.
See, I would almost give him like a couple of years. I would almost sign him just because he did that, only if he'll do it again. That's all.
It's just that some Yahoo's going to give him a big contract, and I hate picking on Philly, but it's probably going to be Philly.
Well, here's the
That's
thing.
true.
He's a local boy from Vancouver. That's why I bring it up. That Vancouver might be going after him, which is why they want to dump Bieksa so quickly. But something that I would think like a winger on the Tierney line with maybe Wingles.
You know
I think
what?
that would be
I would
crazy.
honestly
I'd
go
rather
after
have
Michael.
Goldobin there, though.
I'd rather have Michael Frolik. You know,
Frolik?
you put. Yeah,
Well, I'd
Frolik.
rather have Sidney Crosby. Are we all just throwing out names out there? What are we doing?
No, we're going after realistic free agents, not pipe dreams like Mashinta for Halak kind of.
Well, then, if we're just throwing out names, then in order to, as an ode to Chris, the person that I would, and Gen X will appreciate this, the person that I would have put as our fourth line center is Senor Saison. That's who I would go with right there. Oh, lo siento mucho, Senor Saison.
But I think honestly, I'd go after Frolik. He's right within the age, that everybody is looking at. He's, I think he'd want a little bit more money, but God, what a, that would be awesome to have on our third line. Is Frolik? You'd have what? Nieto, Tierney, and Frolik. That is a great combo right there.
How much would you guys give up for him?
No, he's
No, I know. How much
He's a
would you
UFA.
want to give him?
I don't know.
He was making $3
He
million.
was making, he was making 3.3 mil last year with the Winnipeg.
Okay, that's fine. 3.3 mil.
I would say maybe 2 years at 3.5. I mean, maybe. I mean, maybe give him a third year, but I wouldn't want to go any more than that. Not because we also got some kids coming up that might be in the same kind of vein.
Mm-hmm. But that was just a spitballing. If anything, if we can go after any unrestricted free agent that's
I hear
available.
Jared Stoll's available.
No, we need somebody on the third line, not somebody doing the fourth line.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, the Bay Area is known for pot, not Coke. I don't think we're gonna be able to get them.
Yeah. This isn't the 80s. Come on. We don't want Scarface on our team. Come on.
This is a pot loving community, not a Coke loving community. Wow, Chris,
No, but in all seriousness.
Oh my God, you guys have gone crazy.
No, but in all seriousness, there's two guys that are kind of interesting. Cody Franzen.
Great pivot right there.
Cody Franzen, who is an interesting kind of offensive guy, and Francois Beauchemin, who I would really like as a fifth, sixth kind of guy, who's still got the wheels to play in the West. He's a stay-at-home, so he can be paired with a Mueller and let kind of Mueller learn the ropes. Those are kind of the two guys that I would maybe give some money to, and not even extended period, just maybe 2 to 3 years. But they'll probably get something better somewhere else.
Isn't Beauchemin a little on the other side of?
He's 35.
Yeah, so they go after Bieksa before they go after Beauchemin.
Or
you're
Oduya?
forgetting I'd go with the Johnny Oduya in a heartbeat, because any defensive guy who comes from Chicago is somebody who I'd want on my team, because they know how to play defense. So maybe that will somehow run off, on the rest of the team,
Bleeding Teal comes in. The coders of the Bay Area disagree with AJ Strong. Hey, we had that Broadcom guy too, right? Wasn't he having all the hookers and blow in Broadcom CEO?
I thought that was Google though. Oh,
probably
that's
both.
too soon. That's too soon. All right, let's make no more jokes, guys. Come on.
Hey, fuck you, buddy.
Hey, Stoll. Hey, you know what? Shut your mouth. said by Joe Thornton.
Yeah.
Let's move on to another subject that's going to be coming up very shortly. The Board of Governors have discussed and have decided to take bids into expansion. That's right, we will probably go to 32, although it wouldn't surprise me if Bettman were to go to 34 or 36.
Speaking of cocaine, Las
Yeah,
Vegas.
Yeah,
No.
this is not where I thought we were going. Go ahead. I'm just going to put myself on mute for the next 20 minutes while you guys talk
Yeah.
about this. Enjoy.
Hey, you know what? Shut your mouth, AJ. All right, so I guess the two Erics, since we spelled the right way, we'll talk about this. But we'll quick touch up here. This is a list I came up with. Obviously, three already really in the talks. The other five, quite possibly. Vegas is almost a sure lock for unless their ownership goes to hell. They're a for sure lock. Seattle obviously needs to find a way to get an arena built badly because I think they could play maybe 1 year either at Key Arena or the Tacoma Dome, but no more than that. Quebec City will open up their new arena this season. I think the Ramparts are going to play there for a little bit. Portland, Oregon is a very good thought there. They already have an arena. It is hockey ready. They are home to the Western Hockey League Blackhawks.
Oh,
They've done,
Winterhawks.
or Winterhawks. I'm sorry. They use the same logo and jerseys.
Yep.
Kansas City already has a Sprint Center. That's been open for a few years. They've hosted exhibition games there. It was almost where the Penguins were going to play until Crosby saved them.
I have a question, sir.
Yes, sir.
For Portland, would they be playing? No, put the graphic back up.
Okay.
Go ahead, put the graphic. Would the hockey team be sharing the facility with the Trailblazers, or would they be sharing it with the Winterhawks, or are we talking about a completely different venue? I'm unfamiliar with the Oregon area.
I would assume that they would share the Moda Center with the Trailblazers.
Okay. And Hannah, I'm surprised we haven't heard from you on this, but we're just throwing that out there. Go ahead.
Yeah, Houston, they have the Toyota Center. The AHL Arrows play there for years. The problem with that is just trying to get through the Rockets and the Arena Authority to give them actual dates and give them actual say into it. Of course, Hamilton's always in the mix. They've been in there like twice to get teams like the Penguins and the Predators, although I don't think Jim Balsillie will be a part of any of this. And, of course, the greater Toronto area. It might not be Toronto itself.
Wow, penetrating specificity there.
But just in the outer regions of it. Yeah, so basically here's the thing here with
outer
this.
Regions. I love it.
With Toronto, you have to give the Leafs
a lot of money.
A lot of money, and they're already asking for a lot of money as it is. Batman
Did you see that expansion fee? It starts with a 5.
It starts with a 5 and has a lot of zeros in it. They're talking $500 million for an NHL franchise now. When the Sharks and Sens and Lightning and Ducks and Panthers all came into the league, it was $50 million.
Oh my!
Shut up, AJ.
That's what it sounded like. Sens and Panthers and Ducks. Oh my!
And I believe the recent 4, Wild, Predators, Thrashers, and Blue Jackets. I think they paid like $70-80 million, and we all see what happened with the Thrashers. They've fallen to obscurity. We've seen, and we'll touch on it along with this conversation about Arizona. Florida can't draw worth crap, and now there's talk about Carolina being in trouble again. To which I'll ask you.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say one thing. I'll ask you 2 questions. 1, should they expand? Or actually, I'll make it 3 questions. 1, will they expand? 2, where would they expand to? And 3, is anybody relocating?
Yeah. So I would say. I think it's completely asinine to have 2 teams in Florida. And forgive me, Florida fans, but
Florida has 2 teams?
Tampa Bay and the Panthers.
Really? You count the Panthers? Really? Okay, go ahead.
But I
Hey, they
see.
made the playoffs one year.
Playoffs?
Let's
Playoffs?
put it this way: the Panthers
They've
have
gotten
been to
farther
the
than the Sharks, though.
yeah, they've been to the Stanley Cup final while the Sharks haven't. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I see the Panthers move into Quebec. I think that just makes too much sense. That arena is going to be built, and there's going to be a lot of fans. And or Vinnick, or no, Viola, right? Vinny or Viola, I think his name is. Um, he's kind of a strong arm kind of guy, and I think he wants to see the team do well. So I say they move to Quebec. Vegas, I think, is pretty much a lock. And Seattle, from what I hear, is kind of at least 5 to 6 years away from a new arena. So
Well, yeah, that's what I'm hearing. The same thing with the two with Seattle. Las Vegas, I'll give you that it's essentially quote unquote a lock, although I don't understand why, to be honest with you. I don't get it. You're essentially going to have that whenever somebody brings up the fact or any type of trying to pontificate about putting an arena in Vegas, the first thing that comes into everybody's mind is, are there going to be enough fans in Vegas to sustain that team? Now, granted, you probably have like maybe say 1,500 fans at most games that are there. They're just visiting. They're just there to have fun, and they're killing some time because they're getting their asses kicked at the table. Now, granted, they've got a good amount of people who have bought in on this. They're already like putting money down on it. But I feel that within, you're going to have that honeymoon period like the Sharks had here. Those first 5 years here were magical,
Yep.
and that honeymoon period is going to wear off. And I'm telling you, in less than a decade, if there is a franchise that moves into Vegas, it's going to be a case of most of the time the game is going the Las Vegas Aces, or whatever they end up being called, the Aces, every single one of their games is going to feel like a road game because people are going to come in and make a weekend out of it, or what? Especially on the weekends, people are going to come in. I'm telling you right now, if the Sharks are playing a game in Vegas 5 years from now, I'm scheduling a whole weekend around that, or a few days where it's like, hey, head down there, gamble my ass off, go enjoy a hockey game, and come back, a little more gambling, boom, fly back, a hell of a 36 hours, I'm having a great fucking time. So I think the Vegas thing that's going to be a diamond that the shine washes off of really, really fast. And I don't know about you guys, I'd actually be, at this point, when you look at what Florida is drawing, Dallas, these are teams that are not doing, Arizona, they're not drawing all that well. I would actually say, you know what, everybody's talking about that we need balance now that we've gone from 6 divisions to 4. I would rather see contraction, to be honest with you. Fold the Panthers, move, get some balance.
Yeah.
But I'd fold 1 or 2 teams.
Well, here's the thing. So Vegas is going to be that destination where if the NHL is first in, I mean, they're going to get big fan support. But what's going to happen is you're going to have inevitably another Big Four sports team go in there, and they're going to steal share. And I think overall long-term health, it's not a good idea to put something in there. And really, the only reason why the Sharks work is because of the strong grassroots effort. I don't foresee that happening in Vegas, only because they said the same thing was going to happen in Phoenix, and we've got a good first-rounder who's coming in next year. But Phoenix, for the most part, I don't see them as a big developer of hockey talent. And I say Phoenix probably moves to Kansas City, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and I can see it taking off in Kansas City more than, say, Seattle.
Yeah, I would, Gentry chime in on this too. My thinking is that they're obviously keeping Las Vegas for an expansion team. This is where I think Portland does come into play for the Coyotes, because unless they move back to the arena formerly known as America West Arena, they're out of options. And personally, if the city doesn't want you and wants to break a deal that they made 2 years ago, why the hell would you want to play there? And I know, unfortunately, they have no choice because now the schedule's been made, and it's going to be SOL if they were to change at the last minute. Um, but I'll ask you this, guys. I'll come in again. Gentry, I'll start with you. If they say we're expanding by 2 teams, where are you going?
I'd want to keep them in the Western Conference just to make things kind of even because we've already kind of moved everything into the East. In terms of the West, move the Coyotes to Las Vegas. I mean, they don't really have to change all that much to their identity because they're still the desert team. So you just move them to another desert, up north. And I'm pretty sure that they would probably do a lot better up there. If the ownership wants them up there and the fan and people, obviously they're building a new arena. I mean, might as well. I'd give them a shot. And then the only other place I can think of right now that I would like to see have a hockey team is Seattle. That would be fantastic. I know it's a long shot because it's they're days away from getting a new arena, but why not? I'd like to see that because then it'd kind of be all evened out. I'm trying to think of where Kansas City would be in terms of would they be central or would they be? But
I would think what they would do. I'm sorry. What they would do is, they put them in the Central Division, and then probably move Colorado over to the Pacific, which makes a whole lot more sense.
Yep.
Or Vegas in the Pacific Division, and you have your expansion in Kansas City, right? So then you even it out.
Yeah, I mean, go for that. I would love to see that. Seattle, and then maybe somewhere down the line you'd expand to Portland or Seattle, and then you'd expand to another, spot somewhere in the Central, and kind of keep things on an even keel.
I just think that there's like AJ was saying, I think that there's too many franchises that have too many questions around them, and really I think relocation is probably a better option than expansion. To be quite honest.
But of course, with relocation, you don't get that fat number with the 5 at the front of it that the NHL and Bettman really, really, really wants. But you know what? He's not here to apparently make the game better. He's here to make everybody else a little bit more money.
Right now,
which pisses me off.
Change the relocation fee then.
Yeah, exactly. But that's too. Dude, how do you can bring that much sense to this podcast? That makes way too much sense.
Stop it.
But wait. Now here's a question.
We're Shark fans. We don't make sense.
Oh my God. Now here's a question too, guys. What is? Now I just lost because you guys are just rambling on. Crap.
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Here we go. Wait. Sorry.
Mission accomplished.
Oh, shut the hell up, you guys. Okay,
moving on.
Hey, shut up.
Moving on.
Shh. My question to you is, and anybody, even on the Twitter machine, by all means, answer this. Is the expansion price, which supposedly is supposed to be split among the 30 teams, is it considered hockey-related revenue? Because if it is, that's going to skyrocket the cap up for a year.
Oh, they'll figure out a way to keep the cap low. There'll be some fucking loophole in there that gets it out of the way. I'd say no.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You cause that problem, you could run into issues with the PA on the next CBA, folks.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but
let's not even go there, because they're going to have another lockout. No, they're going to have another lockout. Just with the financials of the teams, it's going to be another lockout unless they really do something with the revenue sharing. Get creative like the NFL.
Yeah. Like I said, going back to your initial question about the expansion of the whole thing, like I said, I vote for, if anything, I vote expansion is the third on my list. First is contraction, then relocation, then expansion. Would you sit there and see that empty seats? What's that Twitter feed that's so fucking funny? At empty seats galore or something.
Yeah.
But the fact that people are constantly tweeting in pictures from Sunrise, Florida, of how empty. How many times I remember taking a picture on TV and submitting it to the empty seats Twitter feed because it was at the halfway point. It was 10 minutes into the second period, and they're at center ice, and you could see more empty seats in the lower ring than there were people in there, and it wasn't even a debate. I mean, it was embarrassing, and
I think
that's what I
glass
see from
seats
a
were like
lot of
under
their games.
$50.
Yeah, no, it's embarrassing what they have going on down there. The Panthers, the people down in there, Tampa Bay, from what I understand, they're kind of like San Jose. They don't have a massive thing because, of course you do have the Rays, like they do anything. But from what I understand, most fans in Tampa, when it comes down to anything, they're Bucks fans. But there is a small but passionate Bolts fan base similar to what we have here. So I'll give them that. But you look at Florida, Jesus Christ, man, it's pathetic. Like just relocate them out of the East.
So I think we're all under the consensus that Florida, you would get to Quebec. You would then have an expansion for 2 Western teams to complete the 18 divisions out here. Whether or not that involves Vegas and Seattle or Vegas and Kansas City. So it almost seems like others don't even bother trying. Because by the way, Pavs, do you think that Florida staying around for a few years will work?
It's not going to work that way.
Even Pavelski says it's not even going to work.
You know what would have been a funnier audio clip was when Pavs looks at Brody's mustache and goes, it's creepy. The final thing we have to touch on before we get out of here.
Yes.
Let's release the schedule today.
Yes.
I want to discuss this. I want to talk about the tournament.
Okay, there is a rant coming, but we'll show you the preseason at the moment. I know some people have complained about, why are they only playing 3 teams? Well, there's a reason behind it. We don't know, but there is a reason behind it.
Who cares?
So, they will play a back-to-back in Vancouver. One of them is going to be at a tiny hockey rink in North Sandwich, BC for Graft Hockeyville, which is kind of cool. The ones that are against Vancouver are usually on Sportsnet. Right? It's usually on Sportsnet, and it usually gets simulcasted on the NHL Network. So you could have 3 preseason games on, which is unprecedented. The Sharks will have a back-to-back like they usually do, Friday, Saturday against Arizona, Anaheim. They'll play the Tuesday one, and then they will have the last 2 games, which are usually on KFox with Ruzanowski. So you'll have Ruzi and Hetty calling the shots. By the way, kudos to Hetty for a nice job in the first round of the playoffs. He looked pretty good with Chris Cuthbert. That being said, time to plan your life accordingly, people. Opening night will be October 7th at Los Angeles. I'm shocked we're not doing it in Chicago because Gary Bettman hates us. And speaking of the haters, I need to correct that. It's 13 of the first 21 games we start on the road. That's right.
Whoa. Everybody shut the fuck up for 5 seconds.
Wait.
Somebody is pulling that. Shut the fuck up. Somebody is pulling some shit out of their ass. At NHL Trade is saying Bieksa, Markstrom, and the Canucks' 23rd pick for San Jose's 9th pick is reportedly the deal on the table.
No.
Now, there's no fucking way that happens because there's no way that a 9th pick, I don't give a shit how deep this draft is, you are not trading Bieksa, Markstrom, and a first-round pick. I don't care if it's the 23rd or the 30th pick. You're not trading all of that for a top 10 choice. That's just, you've got to be kidding me.
And
who did that come from? Who is it? Crispy Churro with the 0. Bro, you're letting me down, man. What's up? Are you fucking with me? We're coming up on July 1st, not April 1st, bro. Stop messing with me, man.
And honestly, why the fuck would we want Markstrom? I mean, does anybody remember that game where he started against us and we just completely attacked him and we left him undressed and naked on the side of the road, and him calling SBO.
But you know what? We talked about this before. Everybody has that. Believe it or not, Patrick Wall, Martin Brodeur, they did not win every single game they played in. I mean, everybody will shit the bed from time to time. You look, the perfect example of that Troy Grosnick having a historical debut, following it up with a massive shitting of the bed. So it depends on what you're going to get long range. Would any of you guys take Markstrom at, like, say, 2.3, 2.5, 2.8 a year for the next couple years? Is
No.
Markstrom an upgrade? Okay, then. See, this the reason why Crispy Churro with the fucking zero, you asshole, with this is the fact. You know what? I almost would have bought it. I almost would have like went for it. And I'm not saying he did it. He just retweeted somebody else's tired horse shit. But the thing is that almost makes you buy it is that if they'd replaced Markstrom with Lack.
Yeah, I do that.
Hearing that Vancouver, Markstrom is the one they want. It's Lack that's the guy that they're trying to shop. So that's how they kind of botched that whole, fucking thing right there. But anyway, finish your preseason stuff there.
No, you know what? I'm actually now going through NHL rumors really quick since we're on this. Okposo is available. There's supposedly Kessel to Pittsburgh, which is
I heard about that.
crazy. My thinking is this: would you give up the number 9 pick and maybe a pick next year for Steven Stamkos?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. You all of a sudden you totally piqued my curiosity. Read that back to me again. What am I trading?
I'm just saying, would you trade the number 9 pick?
Yes.
And maybe a conditional pick next year's draft for Stamkos. And if I recall correctly,
fucking yeah.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would trade this year's number 1 pick and next year's number 2 pick.
And here's the question though: he's
and
going to finish after next season, though.
Oh, okay, we got to re-sign him.
Right, he is a UFA after this season. He's getting $7.5 million.
Then I only trade him for the number 1 pick this season for Stamkos. That's it.
And this is before his no movement clause kicks in for the 2015-16 season. All right, now that AJ has gone crazy over a trade rumor, now I would like you to calm down because I know you have an AJ rant ready to go. All right, one more time here. So opening night, October 7th against LA. That's at home. Our home opener is on the 10th against Anaheim, which, by the way, kudos to the Ducks Twitter to responding very nicely to the Sharks Duck Hunt Twitter comment. It is actually 13 of the first 21 games are played on the road. Their longest road trip is actually 6 games, and it's right before Thanksgiving. So that's a good thing. The longest homestand is 6 games. That's from the 19th to 28th. Does the tennis road trip return? The Sharks are going to play 10 road games in the month of February, which is kind of strange because we got rid of the tennis road trip and the tennis tournament itself for the sake of having a more balanced schedule throughout the year. To balance out all of that, 9 of the 12 are at home in January. The Sharks will play 2 Saturday afternoon games at 1 p.m., assuming that would be a 7:30 game time for the San Jose Barracuda. Speaking of the Barracuda, we are probably having a Hockey Palooza weekend. There are 2 rare back-to-back home games later in the season where the Sharks will play at 1 o'clock and then play a rare Sunday 7 p.m. game on a Sunday night. As far as we know, yes, Black Armor is returning, and but we wouldn't be surprised if there's a 4th jersey coming, which we are expecting. I will start with Gentry first with the schedule. Hang on, AJ, I'm giving you the final say. Shut up. Gentry, go first before AJ starts blowing a gasket. I could already see him turning red.
Oh, what, with the whole schedule?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a sense of deja vu. We're starting our season off against not the Canucks, but the LA Kings, and that gives the the NBC announcer or something else. It's like, well, this was the team that reverse swept the Sharks. And it's like, we get it. It's 2 years old. It's done. But yet again, we could talk about how both teams are now playing with a chip on their shoulder because both teams did not go to the playoffs last season. So, I mean, maybe we can approach it with that storyline as opposed to, let's remember the reverse sweep, and we're going to have to hear about that, 17 times. Didn't we record 17 times the reverse sweep was mentioned on Rivalry Wednesday, whatever the fuck they're
Yes,
calling
I
it?
think it was during the first game of the year, and then the last game that they played. Yes, I get it. It's the reverse sweep. We said it over again. To which, Peter Griffin, what do you say about it?
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Thank you, Peter. Eric Landy, your choice.
Thank you, Peter.
I just feel like who the hell in the Shark management keeps agreeing to these dumb schedules? I mean, it's just asinine, the kind of schedule that we accept. Because, we've got the last say in it. They look at the arena dates and say, hey, these are what you got. But if you can change stuff around, go for it. And it's just like, I just don't get who agrees to it.
I agree with that. Okay. As he turns green and is about to go on an AJ rant, AJ, the floor is yours. Everybody else mute. AJ, go.
For the new schedule? No, sir. I don't like it. Don't care for it.
You have me get all crazy, set you up for a freaking rant.
I'm ready to go. No, the first time I saw the schedule this morning, the first thing that popped in my head, you're bringing up other animated shit, the first thing that popped in my head was Cartman in school, somebody trying to sit down next to him, and he just looks at him and goes, no. When I saw that shit. So what is it? It's like, first 6 of 7 are on the road. Like, we start on the road, then we have one go-home game, and then we go 5 on the road back east. Yeah, okay, sure, that makes sense. The thing that, and then January through March, is that like one of the weirdest things you've ever seen? In January, we play something like 20 games, and like 18 of them are at home, and then boom, like you're talking about, February, we play like 22 games, and 20 of them are on the road. Very, very odd. And then back to March, a whole bunch of home games again. Either way, the thing that gets me again, which always gets me, is how the NHL cannot figure out how the fuck to, when they can do it for every other goddamn fucking team that's outside of the state of California, but they cannot figure it out how to make it so LA and Anaheim are back-to-back games for the Sharks when they're in Southern California. I just don't understand how the NHL can't wrap their fucking little dicks around this conundrum and say, yeah, maybe we need to, like, hey, they're already down there playing the Kings. Maybe the next day we have them play the Ducks. That makes sense, right? But no, you look at it, this is another goddamn season where the Sharks do not play, and in fact, I would even go one further and say, look at the schedule this season. I bet you the Sharks don't play the Ducks and the Kings in the same fucking week this season, much less back-to-back. Then you throw on top of it, the Sharks go up to Western Canada a couple times. They play Calgary and Edmonton back-to-back on both trips. But for some reason, Vancouver? No, fuck Vancouver. They're nowhere to be found. Yet when Anaheim has to make their pilgrimage to Western Canada, both of their trips, Vancouver, then Calgary, then Edmonton. And then 2 months later, Vancouver, then Calgary. Then for some reason, Anaheim, they can swing it for them, but for the Sharks, no, can't do it. Instead, what do? Remember 2 seasons ago, maybe 3 seasons ago, Eric, you might have to correct me, but there was a point where the Sharks were done with the Canucks by like Thanksgiving or whatever it was. Like,
it was 2013-14 that they were in that sense.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And then, of course, and now they flipped the script on us. This year, we don't even see the Canucks until March, and what do they have? They like on March 3rd or 4th or whatever it is, but it's the first week. They go to Vancouver, then 2 days later they host Vancouver, and then at the end of the month, they host Vancouver, and then they go to Vancouver. So 2 back-to-backs with fucking Vancouver with days in between. Are you fucking out of your mind? Go ahead, Eric. You got to unmute yourself, bro.
Sorry, I was
try.
looking at I was looking at the schedule. Sorry about that. Here's the funniest thing. Okay, so February 28th, they are at Vancouver. All right. The next night, which is a Monday night, they play Montreal. Okay.
That's so stupid.
Wait, it gets better. March 3rd, they go back to Vancouver. Okay. Stay with me here. Stay with me here, guys. That Saturday, they play home to Vancouver to complete the back-to-back. But wait, there's more. Act now, we'll have the Sharks go back up Monday the 7th to Calgary, and then Tuesday the 8th to Edmonton. So they go at Vancouver, home to Montreal, at Vancouver, home to Vancouver, at Calgary, at Edmonton.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I mean, at least NHL, at least try to just work, just give it 10% to try to level the fucking playing field with the air miles. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's so transparent. It's so fucking retarded. You got San Jose flying more miles than any other team in the goddamn league. This is so fucking stupid. And one thing I did want to ask Eric, I will throw this out there as a pop quiz to him. This is one of the rare opportunities, and granted, there's only been like a handful of them, like say maybe 5 or so, but this is one of the rare opportunities that the Sharks actually get to play on February 29th. How many games have the Sharks played on February 29th? That's an interesting. You think about it, Google it. My other thing is, looking at the schedule, is it me or does there seem to be a few more back-to-backs than normal? I'm looking at that schedule, especially a little bit towards the later half of it, where I'm seeing 2 days off, then back-to-back, then 2 days off. And then a week or so later, it's 2 days off, a back-to-back, and then 2 days off.
But
And
the
one of the ones
back-to-back
that,
thing is kind of weird because last year they had like the least amount of back-to-backs, but the most miles. So it evens
they
out
always
from year
have
to
the
year.
most miles. Yeah, they always have the most miles. But one of the things that like popped out in my head when I'm looking at the schedule is they're playing Philadelphia on a Thursday, then Pittsburgh on a Saturday, and then Columbus on a Sunday. It's like you couldn't have moved the Pittsburgh game up one fucking night, you know? So it's like you have the back-to-back in the same goddamn state. And yeah, okay, Pittsburgh and Columbus, not the longest trip. You know, it's at least it's not them going from Florida to Montreal, but still, it's kind of like, come on. I mean, just make a little bit of a concerted effort to at least try to level the fucking playing field. Thank you. I will see you after the draft. That was the end of my rant. Fuck the goddamn schedulers. You screw us every goddamn year. If I ever find you in a dark alley, I'm going to piss down your throat. And then I'm
Completely
going
agree.
to have a great pop
it was
of
a piece
rape your
of-
daughter.
It was a masterpiece.
And here's the worst part. There were 3 places I take it back. There were potentially 4 places I wanted to go on a road trip this year. One, of course, is Anaheim. Of course, I can always do that whenever. Dallas, my dad lives in Dallas, so the one game that they are playing there is October 31st. The second part, which means, you know, they go to New York at the beginning of October. Yes, AJ.
Well, just the other thing that popped in my head about the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Did any of you guys all notice again the Sharks for like the 5th time in 6 years? The Sharks are hosting the Blackhawks the night before Thanksgiving. This happened. I shit you not, dude. Go back and look over the last 5 or 6 years.
Seriously.
Every Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, the Sharks host the Blackhawks. I have ticket stubs here.
Yeah, and I still remember the headline. It's the Nabby who stole Christmas. Do you guys remember that?
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. Anyway, your dad lives in Texas. Go ahead.
So basically, there were a number of a number of cities I wanted to visit. New York, I wanted to go, for so badly. No, they began at the beginning of the year for that, so there's rare time for that off. Then 2 weeks later, it's Dallas, you know, and then Toronto. If you know me, for the longest time, I've been trying to coincide a game to Toronto. Yeah, they go the week before Christmas. Are you effing kidding me? Are you effing kidding me with me right now? It is absolutely ridiculous. I'm trying to pull up the tweet. It's from Teal Puck, otherwise known as Lady Stanley. She is awesome. She's on her stuff. The official um, the official amount of miles that the Sharks will travel this season is 52,522. The average travel leg distance is 905.6 miles.
It's
And
rigged. It's rigged. The whole thing's rigged. It's ridiculous.
There's something going on. I mean, the fact that you, in 25 fucking years, they can't figure out how to have the Sharks play the Southern California teams back to back unless they put Christmas in between both games. That is ridiculous. And it's really stupid if you think about it, just because there would be so many teams, how many Sharks fans would pile down to LA and Anaheim? Say that they scheduled a Thursday Friday back to back or a Friday Saturday back to back or whatever. I mean, even a Thursday
Saturday, we'd all go to Disneyland Friday.
Exactly, but they're so. Like, how do you not fucking figure that out? That Sharks fans would pile down there for a weekend to be able to get a little bit of a vacation, but see their team in two different barns over the course of a weekend, and then cruise right back home. I
might actually even go to LA. I feel safer.
Yeah, right. I mean, it would just make a whole lot of sense, and not to mention the fact that why not try to work when LA, try to at least put a little bit more thought into it, that when LA or Anaheim play up here, and like I said, I saw the schedule. Anaheim is playing here on a Saturday night, and the only reason why it was in my head is because my dad is actually visiting that weekend, and I was like, well, and he booked his plane ticket a couple weeks ago, so I'm like, well, hopefully the Sharks will play that weekend. Boom, Anaheim's here, so cool. But the thing is, at least it's on a Saturday night, so that could be fun for fans from SoCal to come up from Anaheim and enjoy a weekend up in the Bay Area. I just don't get that. Like, make a concerted fucking effort to put the Sharks go to San Jose or to Anaheim and LA, a weekend thing, or at least back to back, somewhere like that, and try to schedule the games up here for LA and Anaheim on the weekend or whatever, so people can make a trip. You're trying to build this NHL fan base. I don't know if you saw. I'm trying to think. It was Keith Olbermann or somebody. They just showed a report of like fan bases, and of course, football numero fucking uno, as it should be, and as we all expect it to be. Shockingly, MLB was second with like a pretty good chunk, and then it was NBA, and then under that it was like
MLS.
No, MLS was under NHL, but there was like a good 5 or 6 things in between NBA and the NHL, and it wasn't NASCAR, it wasn't PGA, it was like MMA, it was
Barkley teams.
There was some interesting stuff in between where you just go, really? But either way, it's like, okay, you're still. I mean, we're not in the dark days. I'm sure that we all remember. Not that long ago, less than a decade ago, when people would go, what channel is the game on? And you'd say Versus, and they'd go, what the fuck is that? And before that, you would say, it's on OLN, and they'd go, we don't have that station.
God, or Glow Pucks.
And remember, it wasn't until recently, within the past 10 years, where every single Sharks game was televised. That was the first, I can't remember the year where I was just like, oh, why can't I watch this game? I was like, oh, well, we can't watch that game, it's blacked out. I mean, it was a lot of Buffalo games that were blacked out.
Yeah, that was 2008.
That they finally went to. What's worse is that if you go even further, another decade back, KICU was tape delaying Sharks games. So you could be listening to Rusanowski and Drew on the radio, and you'd be a period and a half through, and Randy and Steve Conroy will be joining in at the beginning of the game at 6 p.m. It was ridiculous.
That was back in the day when it was all the away games were on 36 and all the home games were on Sports Channel, right? Sportsnet.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. With that, I think we've exhausted the schedule.
I did by myself.
I know. My goodness. Let's take it to the tweets as we get ready to wrap this puppy up. Going through the Pucknology After Dark hashtag. Chester Chivo, no diving allowed in San Jose. He has a sign of Yexa with a red X through it. No diving.
I like Bleeding Teal's tweet. They put, ROFLMAO, OLN versus Glow Pucks. You all are throwing it back right there.
That's right.
Hey, bring back the glow pucks, all right?
No,
you know what?
You think we're throwing it back now? In about 2 seconds, Eric is going to start telling you about the 4 original divisions before they went Pacific and North and North.
Oh, it's Smythe. Damn it! All right.
Come on.
Adams.
Yes.
So close.
That's 2.
Campbell.
No.
Yeah.
That's the conference.
That's conference. Smythe. Patrick.
Yes.
So we got Patrick, Adams, Smythe, and what the hell's the last?
Come on.
Smythe?
No. Let me give you a big hint. If you guys ever watch ESPN during their NFL coverage, Berman always references this division.
It's the Vezina division.
No!
Oh, what?
Adams?
It's the Smythe, Adams, Patrick, and the Norris division.
Norris.
Because the Norris was almost like the NFC Central, where they had Minnesota, Chicago, Detroit, and Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
See, that was the thing that was speculated on when they did realignment just a few short years ago. Instead of these lame names of Pacific, Central, East.
Metro. What the hell's Metro?
That's Canadian
NBC network.
for NBC.
Yeah, exactly.
NBC.
They
That's
couldn't call
NBC.
the NBC division.
Yeah. But there was a lot of speculation that they were actually going to try to update that whole naming of it, where the West Coast, the Pacific would have been the Gretzky division.
Oh yeah.
And then you would have had the Central would have been like the Lidstrom division or the Howe division.
Yeah.
Something along those lines, which I think would have been really cool and a nice tip of the cap, where whether you want to acknowledge Gretzky or Bobby Hall or Gordie Howe, any of those guys, I think that would have been really cool. What they've done is kind of, it's pretty fucking bland, but at this point, can you expect anything other than that from, the bet?
Well, also, it kind of, it would be weird, it would be also kind of funny if, let's say, the Pittsburgh Penguins won the Lemieux division, they topped that. That'd be funny.
But let's also put it this way. How many Flyers fans would love to hear they play in the Lemieux division? or for that matter, that the Toronto Maple Leafs play in the Richard division.
Yeah, you know what though?
That's where you're just going to trickle it down over and over and over and over again.
You're just giving ESPN another reason not to cover it, because they're going to look at it and go, and today in the Richard division, that's what
the Richard division.
Yeah.
We'll keep going with the tweets.
Yep.
Ian Reed, Ian Blog Charts, I officially made it on the graphic. Yes, that's for you. By the way, Ian has an awesome podcast, Teal Tinted Glasses. I think it's at tealtintedglasses.com that you should check out, along with Jonathan Wall.
They're a competitor. You can't do that.
And no. You know what? We're actually going to do we had to get some cross promotion with them. We'll get Ian on here.
And we'll also get Jonathan Wald on sometime too.
We'll get Ian on here, and then we'll jump on Ian's podcast sometime down the future. And so Generation X just had it perfectly. It should have been the Gretzky division, the Howe division, the Richard division, and the Orr division. And that is absolutely perfect. You can't get any better than that.
Gen X is Fleek. definitely.
Oh God, no,
Um,
no! Don't say fleek.
I
Stop
just
trying to
want.
make fleek happen.
Oh God.
Whoever,
Fleek
whoever,
is not a thing. Stop trying to make it a thing. It's not a thing.
yeah.
This one's pretty
Um,
good from Generation X. Until you talk hockey on USA Network, you ain't old school.
oh wow. Wow, Gen X, you're showing your age, dude. Chester Chivo, what are your guys' thoughts about Matt Bolesky? He's hearing he wants $5 million per year, though.
Nope, not doing it.
Overpaid.
Not
Don't
a
want to
five.
touch that.
Yeah, I think that's where he's taking advantage of a small free agent market. Which I will say this is probably one of the years maybe that you don't want DW to get somebody on there.
Yeah, well, he also, whatever he makes, he needs to give half of it to Corey Perry and Ryan Getzloff.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
I could put up his point totals if I was on that line of Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlaff.
That's
It's kind of
very
like
true.
it's like I wouldn't even have to try.
Is anyone aware? Does at Bleeding Teal have some sort of a podcast or a broadcast?
No, he has absolutely been dying to get on here.
Well, I was going to say, he just tweeted, "I've been bugging you fuckers for almost a year to get me on."
No, and you know what? I also love him too because we share a lot of same viewpoints, and when
Yeah, absolutely.
like
But apparently, bringing on Ian before him is taboo.
I gotta.
We would turn this into like a freaking like NFL countdown where we have like 8 panelists on. My God, we would have us 4 plus Chris. Which Chris, if you don't know where he's at, he's in the process of moving, so he's got the healthy scratch for that today.
We have to do around the horn. That would be so cool. That I would get muted so often. That would be so great. You see me acting like a psychopath and not be able to hear a fucking
only
thing.
knew what
That would
just
be great.
happened now. But
That would be
anyways.
No, what was that old SNL sketch with Dana Carvey where he was like the moderator and he would just like
Oh, the
speak
McLaughlin group.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
number
the
one.
McLaughlin group.
Yes.
And what do you say about that? Wrong!
Yes. Issue number 1. Should they have relocation? Should they have expansion? Judge Alexander. Wrong!
Wrong!
It is wrong!
Wrong!
Wrong! Air gliding! Wrong! They should not have a relocation or expansion, but let's take a look at somebody else over here.
And Gary Bettman should be taken out back and shot straight away.
Anyways, it sounds like wait, there's something going on here. NHL Ties is concurring that they are trying to plan a world tour, and hitting the California trio is impossible. What the heck?
It is possible. No, they'll be out here. NHL Ties should be in the Bay Area next March with any luck, and the beer is on me for that one. And
If that is the case, if NHL Ties can commit to coming out,
hey, no pressure, relax.
because I've been teeter-tottering about this. If NHL Ties plans to and gives me enough time to tell me if he and she, because it's a team effort here.
Way to spoil the fun, bro.
Well, he said
We
that
all
on the last
thought there was a
podcast,
whole
Dan
bunch of people
Hopper.
behind the scenes, and now you've
Yeah, I thought
completely
this was
blown
like a
it.
5 or 10 man operation.
Yeah,
Okay,
I thought this was like me trying to break a 50 at Starbucks.
Oh, shit.
I thought this was I thought it was just some creepy guy sitting alone in his basement in his grandma's house, and some poor defenseless woman is in a pit somewhere and keeps chanting, "It puts the lotion in the basket."
That's a terrible way to refer to Brody and his fiancée. I can't believe you did that.
Oh, wow. Brody and Amanda, if you're watching, I freaking love you guys. You guys have been awesome.
They're all just jokes. They're not going to hurt you.
Yeah, great. Brody's never going to talk to me ever again now. But anyways, getting back, if NHL Ties, if you are planning to come out here in March, maybe that's when we'll have the tweet of next season.
That would be outstanding. And
Tweet up.
And Bleeding Teal just threw down the gauntlet saying, "Hey, bitch, I helped start Pucknology." Okay.
That's true. He did start.
I'm not saying it isn't. He hashtagged it smug tweet.
Slug tweet. Yes.
And-
Well, well, wait. He also wrote in here, do it at PuckGuy14. Say.
Yeah, well, actually, Gen X just said, "Don't ever call me Fleek again, okay, bish? Ever,
Hey, you know what?
ever."
Wait. You know what? Gen X, say it to my doggy face, you motherfucker.
And with that, Gen X just fucking clicked Photoshop and said, "It's on, motherfucker."
I
He's
know
about to
imagine that there's going to be various phallic objects up close to Eric's face with that.
No. You know why? Because Gen X
Don't
is
encourage
way
it.
too clever. Well, yeah, Gen X
That's
is
true.
way too clever for that.
He needs to go through my old
random,
timeline.
like, dicks in the photo. That is so beneath Gen X. It's not even funny. He looks at that and he goes, "Ha!"
He should go through my timeline and take a look when I compared Eric to a old school Klingon with his little mustache thing going on.
Wow.
What is it?
Well,
War?
his final
His
appearance
war-
Yeah.
on Pucknology After Dark, Eric Landy, everybody.
I hate the fact that I know that character name. That's just sad.
Let's wrap this up. One final thought.
We've been trying to wrap it up for the past half hour.
I know.
2 hours of this
Gentry.
bullshit. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Shut! Gentry, your final thought.
Final thoughts on what? I have a lot of final
Anything.
thoughts.
Just make it quick.
Anything? The schedule sucks. DAEW needs to make some moves at the draft. And last but not least, please do not fucking sign Matt Bolesky. That is the dumbest thing. And don't trade for fucking Kevin Bielsa. God, that would be so horrible. Okay, I'm done.
Landy, your quick final thought.
Yeah, we all want things to happen. So what's going to happen? Nothing. We're just going to pick somebody at 9, and that's going to be it.
AJ.
What they just said.
All right. My final thought is, this is an authentic jersey from the Stadium Series. All right?
And it can be yours.
No. Hang on. I'm going to make a point here because you know how they said we need to take off stripes to make it lighter, All right? So there's some stitch.
And this is the part of the show where Eric goes and
Gentry,
talks about
shut
wonderful fabrics.
Okay, well, see here, there's no stitching between the stripes here. This proves they can have a nice-looking jersey, and it doesn't cost them on performance. Just saying, Sharks. That's why you need me as a graphic designer. See?
Just go back to this,
Hire me.
please. Just this. This was awesome.
Orange.
That is my favorite.
All orange.
Don't listen
no.
to Gentry.
No. You know what? It's the inaugural one was very, very, very good. I love the inaugural one, but the shit that Landy is rolling with right now will always be my all-time favorite. I loved it because the original one, it had the waist stripes. Oh Jesus Christ, we're going on tour now until the deepest depths of the Jersey archives. But
There you go.
No, I thought it was going to be like, this is where I'm currently keeping all my victims.
Yeah, no. The only thing that I can say that I dig about the inaugural jersey more than the second generation jersey is the patch, the circle with the fin coming out of it. I love that patch, but other than that, no. The second generation jersey will always do it for me because it was so different than anything else.
This has the wasp. The
Strelo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's essentially the patch. But yeah, the Strelo patch, I dig that. But no, that style, because you had never really seen that neck design that Landy has in that jersey. You've never really seen that neck design on any other jersey. Not to mention the fact that you've got those basically kind of similar to the shirt that I'm wearing. Those
Shark
lines
fins
that come in. Yeah, those fins that come in. And then the really kind of weird thing is that on the teal versions of it, it was kind of that whole jersey material throughout, but then when you bought the white version, like the sleeves, part of the sleeves were like silk or satin or something.
Yeah, they had the reflective metallic in it.
Yeah, I mean, they were just so different, and the nameplates and the numbers were like so off the wall that and in fact, I even remember hearing like Ruzanowski and Hahn talking about that when they shifted from the second jersey to the third generation, with that hideous, god-awful orange, because I will never buy any of those. It's like I own every inaugural jersey. I own every iteration of the second jersey. I own every iteration of the current jersey. I do not own a green third generation. See, I call it green. I don't even call it teal. Don't own a teal version. Don't own a white one of the second one.
All right. Well, I think this is where we should call the game because Patrick M just wrote, and now Puck Guy has turned QVC all over again. Someone please Photoshop as I am busy getting a beer.
With that, we need to get out of here. We've gone almost 2 hours, and I think that's enough. We've gone on to a Jersey rant for over 5 minutes. And thank you to Gentry Alexander. Great to see you again. He's counting down to the time where he can get the orange Barracuda jersey. Trust me. Eric Landy, thank you for your draft knowledge. I appreciate all the hard work. We will definitely have you on again soon. AJ, of course, always great to see you.
Are we doing something next week to cover the draft aftermath?
Fallout?
Yeah.
The fallout. I like that.
I will be in France, unfortunately.
Oh, darn.
Oh.
Eric, thank you again very much. We will see you next week for Free Agent Frenzy and the post-draft, and then that'll be it pretty much until we have breaking news or the first glimpse of Captain's Ice, or I should say Assistant Captain's Ice. So, for Gentry Alexander, Eric Landy, AJ Strong, Chris JWS, Shalana, I know you're out there somewhere, Brody, I know you're enjoying baseball.
Hold on, one final thought.
Oh, God, what?
Can we end the fucking show?
Chester Chivo just tweeted. Chester Chivo just tweeted in, and he wants to know, is Brody in that closet? I think he's worried about it. Like, do you have him like tied up in the back? Did you give him the lotion?
Oh, my God.
All right.
That's good night, everybody. Keep it real, keep it fresh, keep it real fresh. Peace the puck out. Oh, my God, H, I'm going to